Woody Paige, we're going to start with you, and you look marvelous today. Did the Cowboys crack the code on the Saints?
Cracked it wide open. I think this reminded me of Enigma in World War II when the English figured out the code of the Germans, and that's exactly what they did. They
Good
split
reference.
their
like
rushing linebackers and forced the offensive line to move out. Then they brought pressure from the inside. And with Drew Brees, as we know, he's a shorter quarterback. He couldn't see the field. I think that's what happened on that last interception where he just couldn't see. He had all these faces from both sides in front of him. I think teams going forward are going to say, let's try and copy that. Let's single cover their wide receivers and bring more pressure on Drew Brees.
Israel Gutierrez, how shocked with you with last night's outcome? And did the Cowboys figure something out here?
I was pretty shocked from the very beginning when the Saints go 3 and out in a couple of possessions. And you're like, wait a second, this is not the team that I'm used to. The formula, though, has been the formula since the beginning of football. Get to the quarterback, time of possession, run the ball, defense. You actually have to do it, and the Cowboys just did it. The Saints were off. You could see that. They were probably not expecting that type of pressure from the Cowboys. And by the end of it, that inexplicable interception that Drew Brees threw, that wasn't even necessarily because of pressure. He was just rattled. You saw it as he was throwing the football. So I think Dallas did a good job, but this wasn't the A Saints you were getting. You were getting maybe the C- Saints. So the Cowboys,
well, maybe the Cowboys were forcing them to be
elevates them much.
C-. And you called it an inexplicable interception. After 4 quarters, it was quite explicable. You saw what the Cowboys are doing all game. Bob Ryan, what did you see last night?
Not if you know how Drew Brees plays.
I want to applaud Coach Paige for his analysis. Very trenchant and very nice. Now, however, it's about execution in my mind. It's about execution, and they executed. There's no secret formula. Everybody knows inside pass rush. It bothers Brady. And you have to stop it. Okay, it's like saying, okay, what's the formula to win a baseball game? Oh, why don't we pitch a shutout, hit 4 home runs, and catch everything? Basketball. Why don't we shoot 75%? Make sure they get an offensive rebound. All right, it's about execution.
On to something.
So they did.
Right? Clinton Yates, what did you see last night?
I saw a very ugly football game. You talk about execution, Bob. There's fumbles all over the place. Guys are dropping the ball. Look, I am allowing the Saints to have a bad game at this point during the season on a Thursday night on the road. Okay, let's not overreact here. The Cowboys, big gut check for this squad. They managed to get a win where they needed to at a place where their season was basically on the line in these past 2 weeks. That's what I'm impressed with. The Saints didn't look great. I can't expect Kamara to get bottled up like that more than 2 weeks, 2 weeks in a row. Dallas got to win when they needed to.
It wasn't just Kamara getting bottled up, though. It was Brees, and it was Michael Thomas. And wait, you thought this was an ugly game. You thought this was bad football.
I was not nearly as entertained by this game as I was Monday night previously in L.A.
Does anybody else think this was bad football? I'm curious about this. I saw the ratings, and it was the highest-rated Thursday night game basically ever. Woody Paige, go ahead.
Yeah, Tony, 2 weeks ago we were talking about 50-50. Can anybody play defense around here, as Casey Stengel would say? Well, now you saw your defense last night, people. Did you really enjoy that game? If it hadn't been the Cowboys and the Saints, you probably would have turned it off and gone to the basketball game and saw some real offense.
Hold on a second. Where's this coming from? I just said it was the highest-rated Thursday night game that they've ever had. The idea that this wasn't entertaining to watch, to see, to play out. Or the idea, Israel Gutierrez, that defense can still win in the NFL in 2018.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and guess it was highly rated because it was the Cowboys, America's team, and the Saints, who everybody wanted to watch that offense. I think 3/4 of the units, if you're counting offense and defense, played to their strengths. The New Orleans Saints defense played well. The Cowboys defense played well. The Cowboys offense played and the Saints offense played horribly. And so you get that combination, and you get an aesthetically unpleasing game, even if it was at times some good football.
Listen to you guys, okay. While watching this hideous, ugly football game that really is an aberration and is unimportant, Bob Ryan, let's talk about the victors, the Dallas Cowboys. So they should prove that they're a threat to do something this season.
They're a growth stock, and they may be a tough out in the playoffs, as Woody Paige has told me already today. But they're not a contender. They're not a team that is going to be playing on that first February Sunday. Okay, but they're back in the mix, and they're going to win the division. I'll give them that.
We have seen a Denver Broncos team that was defensive-based a few years ago win a Super Bowl. We saw an Eagles team last year, offensively and defensively were pretty evenly matched, but they won with some defense in the Super Bowl. Could a team like the Dallas Cowboys, defensive-based, contend this year, Israel Gutierrez?
Yeah, I think even in those past years, maybe the Ravens, you kind of predicted it. Maybe the Bears, the defense, you kind of predicted it. But you don't really see that playing out, right, when you're in the regular season. But this could be the type of win that sort of buoys that Cowboys defense and makes them believe, hey, we can be this dominant, and we only have to beat one, maybe two dominant offensive teams, but we can do it with this group. I think it gives them the belief to do it. I don't believe that everybody in the country should say, hey, they're going to win.